The ancient astronaut theory works because it draws together different pieces of evidence. He started with a magazine nobody read. Then came a TV show that changed everything. Critics called him a fraud. Scientists laughed at his theories. He didn't care. He turned his wild hair and strange ideas into gold. He now leads sold-out tours to ancient sites. Fans pay just to take photos with him. Even Oxford invited him to debate. The world mocked him, then paid him millions to keep talking. This is the crazy story behind the ancient aliens guy. Giorgio Tsoukalos was born in Lausanne, Switzerland on March 14, 1978. He grew up surrounded by mountains, boarding schools, and quiet discipline. But behind the Swisscom was a name that pointed to something much older and louder, his Greek heritage. While other kids were learning algebra, Giorgio was already dreaming about the stars and ancient legends. That mix of Swiss order and Greek mythology would shape the strange and fascinating path he later took. But it all truly began with a single book. Giorgio didn't find it in a library or a school. His grandmother handed it to him. It was Chariots of the Gods by Erich Fondin. A strange book for a kid, but she saw something in him. He read it and something clicked. The stories of gods from the sky, ancient technology, and lost civilizations stirred something deep inside him. Years later, when he picked the book up again as a young adult, it felt like seeing an old friend with new eyes. That moment wasn't just nostalgia. It was an awakening. That book and that gift from his grandmother would go on to define the rest of his life. You might expect a man obsessed with ancient aliens to have degrees in archaeology or history. But Giorgio studied sports communication at Ithaca College. He wasn't decoding hieroglyphs in college. He was learning how to cover football games. It doesn't seem like it fits, but maybe that's why it worked. He didn't think like a traditional academic. He thought like a storyteller. While at Ithaca, he shared campus space with Jason Colavito, a future critic who would later challenge almost everything Giorgio stood for. Still, Giorgio wasn't bothered. His focus was on telling stories that people could understand, even if scholars rolled their eyes. Before aliens took over his life, Giorgio was deep in the world of bodybuilding. It wasn't just a side job, it was his career. He started by volunteering at events like Mr. Olympia. He wasn't on stage, but he was everywhere else, organizing, promoting, making sure every spotlight hit just right. He even launched his own promotion company and ran one of California's biggest bodybuilding events, the San Francisco Pro Grand Prix. The biggest names in the sport, including Ronnie Coleman, gave him props for what he built. That world taught him about branding, media, and spectacle, and all of that would later help him win. Impression. Between 2002 and 2007, he popped up in different documentaries like Is It Real and Is There a Stargate? These were small parts, but they were tests. Tests for the networks and tests for Giorgio. Could viewers take him seriously? Could his strange theories be packaged in a way that worked on TV? Turns out they could. His confidence and energy stood out. Producers noticed. By 2007, he started appearing on bigger channels, History Channel, Travel Channel, Sci-Fi, and even National Geographic. He was no longer just a guest. He was becoming a regular. But Giorgio wasn't just relying on television. He had been editing a magazine called Legendary Times since 1999, which focused on the same kind of ancient alien theories he talked about on screen. That magazine gave his ideas another platform. And when TV producers needed someone to speak about alien contact with ancient humans, Giorgio was already waiting. Then came 2009. That was the year everything changed. The History Channel launched a show called Ancient Aliens and Giorgio became its face. Viewers were hooked. His hair, his enthusiasm, his strange certainty, it all worked. The show became a hit and ran for over 200 episodes. He also became a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM, a late-night radio show that had millions of listeners. His voice became part of the late-night background noise for people hungry for strange ideas. As the show grew, so did Giorgio's role. He didn't just appear in an episode or two. He appeared in all of them. Over 200 episodes across more than 20 seasons. No matter what the topic was, aliens in Egypt, UFOs in South America, or strange monuments in Europe, Giorgio was always there, asking questions with the same wide-eyed wonder. His wild hair and intense delivery became part of the show's identity. He became so iconic that by 2010, the internet turned him into a meme. I'm not saying it was aliens, but that phrase exploded across the internet, often used to mock the show's far-fetched ideas. But Giorgio wasn't bothered. In fact, he loved it. He once said he felt honored to become part of internet culture. What made Giorgio stand out wasn't just his look. It was how deeply involved he was in shaping the show. He took theories from authors like Eric Fondon and turned them into dramatic TV. Instead of just showing ancient temples or old texts, Ancient Aliens connected those to possible visitors from space. The show asked bold questions. What if gods were aliens? What if history isn't what we think it is? And Giorgio pushed those ideas with confidence. He brought in topics that most history shows would never touch. Government secrets, reptilian creatures, black holes, and even time travel. Critics hated it. Many scientists and historians called it nonsense. But millions of people kept watching. They didn't care if it was true. They just wanted to imagine the possibilities. Giorgio knew how to keep them hooked. As the show became a hit in the United States, Giorgio helped it reach audiences around the world. Ancient Aliens was translated into different languages and aired in dozens of countries. It even led to spin-off series like Ancient Aliens, The Ultimate Evidence, and Ancient Aliens, Origins. Fan conventions called Alien Con started popping up where people came dressed like aliens or ancient gods just to meet Gio and talk about the theories. Even rapper Action Bronson made a show where he and his friends got high and watched ancient aliens laughing and reacting in real time. The whole thing became a pop culture phenomenon. Giorgio embraced it all. He didn't back away from controversy. He leaned into it. He went on big podcasts like the Joe Rogan Experience and kept spreading the message. Maybe, just maybe, we're not alone. And maybe we never were. Whether you think it's all nonsense or you're a true believer, one thing is certain. Giorgio Tsoukalos changed the way millions of people look at history. He turned ancient mysteries into something thrilling, bizarre, and unforgettable. And for over a decade, he kept the world asking, what if it really was aliens? Giorgio Tsoukalos never planned to become an internet legend. But it all started in November 2010 when users on 4chan noticed something about him. It wasn't just his theories about aliens that caught their eye. It was his hair. His wild spiky hairstyle looked like he had just stuck his finger in an electric socket. And his serious expressions full of certainty made everything even funnier. People started making memes with a freeze frame of him and the phrase, "I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens." Ironically, he never actually said those exact words, but it didn't matter. The meme was too perfect. It made fun of how passionately he blamed everything strange on aliens, even without much proof. Soon, the meme spread like wildfire. It wasn't just stuck on 4chan anymore. It took over Reddit, Tumblr, Facebook, and even Instagram and Twitter. People loved it because it could be used for anything. Missing socks, weird history, you name it. By early 2011, Giorgio's crazy hair and that meme were everywhere. Before the meme, only a small group of people knew him from his History Channel show, Ancient Aliens. After the meme, millions of young people who had never even watched a documentary knew exactly who he was. The timing was perfect. Social media was exploding between 2011 and 2014, and the internet was hungry for funny, ironic jokes. Giorgio's meme fit right in. On sites like Reddit and Tumblr, creative users made endless versions of it. Some didn't even bother with text anymore.